not above shoulder length, you're legal by the state of Louisiana. Talk a little bit about the freedom of choice. I know that's something y'all hadn't worked on the last few years, particularly with Bell Edwards. I think it was, let's say 2015, 2016, I can't remember. ABATE had a bill that, and they'd had one a couple years before that, but they didn't even get out of committee the first time. The second time we got out of committee with an amendment on it, but we got it to the House floor, and the governor, Bell Edwards, went out there and he had a little notes written on all the desks, to all the representatives. He had his people going putting that on their desk, to say, hey, I'm gonna veto this bill, if you pass it. And so we got out of committee, and we actually had more votes for it than against, but we didn't have enough votes. Some representatives didn't even vote, but it's crazy to be down there and watch this happen. If you've ever been to a live vote on something that we have been working on, when you get these representatives, they tell you they're going to vote for it. Well, then they don't want to vote. I mean, they're not going to vote no, but they don't vote at all. They just walk out and get on the phone in the hallway when the vote's going on. I've seen that happen at least 2 or 3 times. I mean, so these call to actions is the way we get our voice to the representatives when they get to see we've got a lot of call to actions, and they say, well, that's quite a bit of votes. Maybe I should change my opinion. And so, and that's where I know he's going to talk about meet with the U.S. Defenders later. That's where the U.S. Defenders comes in, and it's a real big function of the COC is to be able to mobilize that manpower and protect our rights. That is about all I had for today, but I did, anybody got any questions on any of the topics I've talked about?
What was that freedom of choice?
Oh, freedom of choice?
Yeah. What that bill pertain?
It was freedom of choice for, whether wear a helmet or not.
Okay.
And the amendment that was put on that was you had to have a state motorcycle safety course. It's kind of a compromise in the way it come out of a committee. And you had to be 21 and up. And that's normal in most of these states. If you go to Kansas or you go in most of the states, you get out west, you don't have to have a
What about the insurance? Limitation on the insurance too or something?
well, some of them, like in Texas, they give you a choice, I think, in Texas. And I hadn't looked at it in a while. Last time I looked at it, you either had to have 10,000 in medical insurance or have a motorcycle safety course. They'd give you one or two.
Texas, Florida's identical.
Yeah, I think so. I think Florida's the same way.
Did you mention anything about the YouTube channel and membership?
Yes. Oh, that's the YouTube channel. Very important. And like I said, we're just starting this YouTube channel. We've gotten some likes on there, but we need to really, if you like this channel, enjoy this channel, please like and subscribe and share. And
What's the number, about 50 something?
It was really important that when you watch, you can see it on a Louisiana C.O.C. and I Facebook page. That's where it's been posted, the link. You can click on it, and when you watch the video, hit subscribe and hit the little bell icon, like, and what it'll do, it'll just notify you when we put up another video, or notify you. Plus, it'll help the channel on the algorithm or the way it acts on Facebook and stuff like that, so we can get this out to more people. And my goal for this is hopefully we get it out to a bunch of independents that are out there that don't want or are scared to come, because we need everybody. Like I said, it's all about the numbers, and these call to actions, these QCs that get sent out, man, please sign them, please. It does take a couple of seconds to do it, man, just send it out.
And what is the direct name of that YouTube channel?
Louisiana COC and I.
Okay.
Yeah, you can either go to YouTube and type in Louisiana C.O.C. and I, or some of y'all check the Facebooks, it's just Louisiana C.O.C. and I on Facebook, and you'll see the videos on there. You click on it and it'll bring you straight to it. But hit the subscribe, hit the like.
You talked about a while ago, that cable system on the road, did they do away with that over there?
Yeah, in Europe they did. They went to a different type of barrier. I mean, it's a barrier that works and it's cost efficient, but it's not good for motorcycles. What
No, it's
happens when a biker hits that thing, your leg or something gets wrapped into that cable, well, it pulls you to the post. You know, and I've seen it where they actually padded around the post in some states. I don't think I've seen that around here.
They also a small car too, I think tear them up.
John, did they do away with that mask law that they had?
Oh, yeah, but they did, that was another good achievement, was the anti-masking statute.
Right.
Which, I mean, the way that was originally written, you know, and one reason that law was on the books had to do with, like, you know, somebody going into a bank, you know, with their face covered or whatever, or committing some kind of crime or something like that. That's really what the law was for. It never was intended to pull over a biker because they was wearing a mask or something.
They did.
That was harassment. I mean,
They wore us out.
pretty clear.
We made that go away.
Yeah. And so on that, we just I mean, there was a couple exemptions already in there. Mardi Gras was an exemption. I don't remember what the other one.
Costume parties.
Yeah, Halloween was another one, obviously.
Religion.
Costume parties.
So we had that, an amendment put in there, just said another exception while riding or driving a motorcycle. So that solved that issue. It should have never been an issue, but you know, those are the kind of things that motorcycle rights organizations are always working on. When these things come up, you know, how can we take care of it, you know, and get it figured out? So that's the kind of problems that, you know, we try to solve, ABA tries to solve as well. Any more questions? I appreciate the questions. If you're not a member of the Motorcycle Rider Foundation, I'd encourage you to go to the website and join. You do get $4,000 worth of insurance, $35 a year. You know, I describe the MRF like this. It's an NRA of motorcycling. That's what it is. They're there solely to protect our freedoms, and they've got a good little crew up there and a contract lobbyist that's, you know, professional, and they're up there working with those representatives. And we can get those call to actions out in the next couple months, guys. It'd be great, because on May 16th is the Bikers in the Beltway, and that's the annual lobby day where, you know, grassroots motorcyclists, you know, ride to DC and go in there and talk to their representatives in person and say, hey, you know, we're bikers, we're out here, you know, we want a say in what's going on here. So, yeah, like I say, please help us on that. Please like and subscribe to our brand new Louisiana C.O.C. and I YouTube channel.
All right, thanks, Don. Preacher?
Good afternoon. I'm Preacher George Gill. I'm an independent writer, and I'm with ABATE of Louisiana. Of course, originally, I believe that an acronym stood for a biker against totalitarian
Brotherhood against totalitarian
enactments.
So that's a mouthful.
That totalitarianism is a lot of what we're seeing today. Right now, California is wanting to do away with gasoline engines by 2035, is that right? So do you know what that means for bikers? It means buying the electric one. Or maybe waiting until Sunday to ride. But if it gets embedded in California, it's gonna spread like wildfire to these other states that are, you know, pro-green. And so Donnie spoke on behalf of the Motorcycle Riders Foundation, which is the federal level, federal law. ABATE works on the state level, Louisiana. And so, first of all, I'd like to encourage every biker in here, every biker lover in here, your family, your friends, if you're of legal age, register to vote. And not only register to vote, but show up when it's time to vote. we can talk all day long about defending your rights, doing this, that, and the other thing, but if you're not registered to vote, and then you don't vote, you've done nothing. Okay? That's very important. You need to stand up for your rights. A-Beta, Louisiana, this year, our legislation, we are trying to get what's known as House Bill 733, which is an amendment to revised statute 32, 191.1. That revised statute has, of course, it's worded in legal language. It says don't do this, don't do that, don't do the other thing. But what it's missing out of that is the penalties for violating that law. This is an amendment to basically say that a motorcycle has the right to the full lane that they're in. And you would think that this should be common sense. Of course, Swamp had asked before when I brought it up, what about MCs? They ride side by side, two to a lane. Well, that's actually allowed. That's not a problem. It's talking about a car or another vehicle entering into your lane and basically taking your right of the full lane away. Specifically worded. It also adds penalties. Like currently, really the penalties that come down is if they blow a stop sign and hit you, they get a failure to yield. Basically you end up with around $300 in fines, not even a slap on the wrist. And so with this, it's going to add penalties such as, if there's a fatality in a motorcycle crash caused by an intrusion into a motorcyclist lane of traffic and being collided with, forced off the road, or into oncoming traffic, offenders right now only pay a small fine with no remedial training, no suspension of driver's license, no community service, no jail time. This bill addresses this injustice by attaching actual penalties to that revised statute. And so what we're wanting to do is get that passed and use that as a deterrent. Used to be before that state law said that if there was any fatality or loss of limb or a high dollar amount as far as an accident, just any accident, not just motorcyclists, but the state police were supposed to take mandatory drug samples, blood samples. And the state police were not enforcing that. So we have a lawyer with A-Bait called Glenn McGovern. He's out of Metairie, Louisiana. And he was writing letters and calling the head of the state troopers here in Louisiana and saying, hey, look, y'all aren't enforcing the law. Y'all need to start taking blood samples. And of course, with that should be the penalties, like if a car is high, hits and kills a motorcyclist, then there should be more than just a failure to yield. So that's a part of what that House Bill 733 is to add penalties. The second bill that we're working on is House Bill 376, which prohibits handheld wireless devices while operating motor vehicles. In other words, hands-free. Put your hands on the wheel, keep your hands off the phone. We all know what everyone's got their head, their eyes, and their hands on. Okay? I think a lot of people in our society really have taken driving a car for granted. It is such an easy skill. Anyone can do it. We give teenagers driver's licenses. But the fact of the matter is if you're not paying attention to where you're driving, how you're driving, that right is just taken for granted. And right now, currently in the United States of America, there are 25 states that have a hands-free bill. So it's not like this is something that Louisiana is creating. No, we're kind of like saying, well, these other states have this. We tried to get this through last year. I think the season ended before they were able to discuss it on the House floor. But also districts of District Columbia, Puerto Rico, Guam, U.S. Virgin Islands has this. And as a biker, if you've ever been cut off or almost had a car hit you and you see that phone in your hand, this benefits us. But not just us, it also benefits all drivers on the road. But I think that distracted driving is probably about the worst hazard there is, in my opinion. And so that's what we're working on. And now on the federal level, I'd like to mention, and this is especially good for the call to action. United States House Resolution 366 is a federal anti-profiling resolution. If you hit that call to action, you'll get pretty much like a thank you email. The reason being is that Louisiana has an anti-profiling bill here. So if a cop pulls you over and wants to take pictures of your patches, hey, wait a minute, that's profiling. That's illegal here. ABATE helped get that passed a few years ago. Now what's happening is we want to get this, MRF, other motorcycle rights organizations want to get this passed on a federal level. And so right now, just like when the anti-profiling bill passed for Louisiana, we had all 6 of our congressmen get behind this. Same thing, we have them, all 6 of these congressmen, behind this bill when it comes up. So on one of that call to action, if you see that House Resolution, U.S. House Resolution 366, put your input in there. This is the way things work. Okay, when you hit one of these call to actions, and it goes to your congressman, your representative, whatever, to us, it's only one little ding that comes up. Well, as far as these congressmen are concerned, they like to run for re-election. They look at each number, and in their mind, it represents 10 voters. So hopefully, if you are voting on an issue, hopefully you've got 10 family and friends that you're going to want support you. And this is also a part of, getting the word out. Hey, look, as a motorcyclist, have your voting wife sign these call to actions, have your voting children, your cousins, just the number of dings they get. They look at that and say, hey, this has got a high response. Kind of like businessmen with money, the bottom line, what's the profit? For these guys, it's like, what's the voter base? And if you get 3,000 votes or 3,000 emails, 3,000 call to actions from Louisiana, times that by 10. And so now that's got their attention. The veteran community in the United States of America. Now, these are the guys that really know how to game the system in a manner of speaking. They may have served in one branch of the military, but most of the veterans I know are members of 4 and 5 different military rights organizations, such as the American Legion, the AMVETS, maybe if you're a Vietnam veteran, Vietnam Veterans of America. And there are other organizations that go and lobby on behalf of veterans. Well, this one guy is a member of 5 organizations. Each of these 5 organizations send them out a call to action. And so they're now voting on 5 different organizations. And so when they approach Congress and said, hey, the American Legion has 10 million votes this way, Vietnam veterans have this X amount of votes, the congressman is a member of the 5 organizations. So this is a part of what's important about 1, being registered to vote, 2, going out and voting, and being as active as possible. Now, it's not like we're asking you to hold a street sign on the corner. Getting back to that cheese grater incident, there's one particular group here today that had a member hit one of those cheese graters in Pineville. And so they could tell you exactly what it did to their member and why it's such a bad idea. And with that,
Which
Law the one.
club?
Law the one.
Yell at, how bad he got hurt?
Oh, it killed him within 30 seconds.
They cut him in half?
Almost.